it's Christy. Welcome to the first installment in my 2015 Valentine card series. This series of cards benefits the Caring Hearts card drive, and that is a card drive that collects cards, Valentine cards in particular, for the children at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. It's a very worthy cause, and I've participated for a couple years. Last year I also did a Valentine card series showcasing cards for that card drive, and I thought I'd continue this year. I'm a little bit late in the game this year, but we're going to try to get as many as we can, and I have been creating cards. I just hadn't had a chance to film. But anyway, let's get right to it. So today we're going to be using the W+9 Winter Pals stamps and dies. And what I like to do when I know that I need to be creating a lot of cards, like for a card drive, is I stamp out a whole bunch of images, and then I just have a whole bunch that I can color at my leisure. Last night I took it down to color while I was watching American Idol. And, you know, it's just something that you can do in steps, which really helps you get more cards created in the long run. So today we're going to continue on with our coloring. And I think today we're going to use this little fox up here. And I'm going to do another brown fox. So I'm going to start with TN2. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Alright, there we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better for you. So I'm going to begin laying in a wash of color here. Just going in where I really like my shading to be and kind of outlining those areas for myself. Okay. We'll go in and deepen up that a little bit with TN3. This Caring Hearts card drive lasts until January 31st. That's when they need to collect the cards by, so that they have time to send them out to the hospitals in time for Valentine's Day. So if you have the time, I highly encourage you to create some cards. It's really going to bless those children, and it'll bless you as well. You know, you can't help but feel good knowing that you're making somebody's day special. So I will have the link to all the information down in the description box below, and also on my blog at christygetscrafty.blogspot.com. So please be sure to check that out. Even if you could only do a handful of cards, I highly encourage you to just try. And also, this is one of the card drives that also allows children to make cards. So get your kids involved if you can, or your classroom if you're a teacher. It's just a really great way to show kids how to bless each other, and you know, you can't help but be blessed as well. So I darken that up a little bit more with the TN4, and now I'm going back with the TN3 and just blending out that color a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my TN2 and finish out the highlights. The stamp set is just so cute. I think it's really adorable. Alright, so I can see that the tail and this arm over here are not quite as dark as I would like, so I'm going back with my TN3 and just bringing that color up a little bit farther. And then I can go ahead with my TN2 again and just finish that off. Alright, and I'm much happier with that. So now I need to add a little bit of color to the face and belly, and I'm starting with TN1 and just kind of framing the belly and the face where the contours are. I'm going to go and darken that TN1 with the TN2. And I'm going to Go ahead and color the ears. I'll go back with the TN1. I'm not going all the way. I'm kind of leaving a white highlight just to... She's going to be skating on ice, so the light is going to hit off the ice and bounce back on her face, so there's going to be a little bit of shadow there. And then I'll just add a little bit to the tail. Alright, so I think I'm going to give her a blue scarf. So I'm going to go with my BT2. And go ahead and lay in some color. I'm going to darken that with a little BT3. Just where the fabrics overlap. And I'm going to add even just a little bit more with the BT4. I'll go back with the BT3, blend that out. And then finish up with the BT2. Alright, I feel like this fox needs just a little bit of pink. So I'm going to take my PP1 and just add a tiny bit of blush on her cheekbones there. Alright, and maybe just a touch in her ears. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut this out with the matching dies, and then I'll be right back to show you the next step. Alright, so there is our little fox. Just peel off the post-it tape, and there we go. So I've also done a little bit of prep work to get ready for the video, just so the video wouldn't be so long. And so I have die cut some pattern paper. I'm using this Cartabella Devoted 6x6. This was released last year. This is a very well-loved pad from the card drive last year. But I'm still using it. I've ordered a new paper pad for Valentine's Day, but it hasn't come yet. So I'm still using up my old stuff. So I've die cut my two background pieces with the Mama Elephant Femme Frames dies right there. And I've also die cut a piece of white cardstock with the W+9, one of the landscape trio of dies that they sell. So I have that. I have also die cut a little piece of ice there, iceberg, whatever you want to call it. And I have also stamped and die cut two trees. I actually have done a bunch of trees for the card assembly process to go quicker, I just stamped this on some gray pattern paper from that same collection and then die cut it. I didn't even bother to color it because when you're making a bunch of cards like this, any steps that you can take that will make things go quicker is a good thing. So we're going to begin by adhering this piece down to our card front. Just go ahead and run some ATG. Try to get that nice and centered on there. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now I need to figure out how I want to put my hillside. And I think I'm going to have it over to the side like that. So I'll just run a little bit of ATG across the bottom. Go ahead and line that up. And then I can trim off the excess there. I'm going to put my little iceberg right there in the divot in the snow with some Tamomano Multi. And yes, I finally did get a new bottle. I've been working on that old bottle for a long time. I would say 3 or 4 years. And I use that glue on almost every card. But yeah, I just really like to make things last. Okay, so there's that. I want to tuck one of these trees behind the hillside. Just add a tiny bit of Tombow to that. Okay, and then we're going to add one in front, just so we get some visual dimension there. All right, can add our little fox right there. The cards for this card drive are supposed to be meant for either a boy or a girl, not gender specific, just because it makes it much easier when they are handing out the cards. So going with a pink and blue color scheme, also gray and red, this card really could be for either a boy or a girl, which works great. So our last step is to add our sentiment here, and for that I'm using a different stamp set. I'm using the Mama Elephant Love from Above stamp set. It has a lot of great sentiments for this card drive. Be mine, I love you, you are loved, wishing you love, and Happy Heart Day. I'm using the Happy Heart Day today. I'm going to stamp that in some Memento Luxe Espresso Truffle. This is a dark gray. Set my card base aside so it doesn't bounce up and knock our sentiment askew. I'm just going to tap that on the pad really well to get good coverage, and then we'll just line that up. Stamp that down where we think it should go. There we go. Alright, you don't want to touch that right away because that is going to be wet for a few seconds and it will smear if you do touch it. I'm almost thinking like it needs a pop of color on here, so I'm wondering, I think I'm going to try to color in that heart with the red. Sorry, Memento Luxe inks are not meant to blend well with your alcohol markers, but I'm being very careful not to actually touch the ink. I'm just staying right inside the lines, so I should have no problems there. Okay, I'm going to take a DR6 and just add a little bit of shading. Go back with the DR4. I'm happier with that. It just adds a little bit of color that I think this card really needed. So now I'm going to grab my tape here. If you guys remember when I did this haul video, this is still that same roll of tape, and I swear I use this on almost every single card. I have probably made 150 to 200 cards at least with this roll of tape. So even though it is an investment at the beginning, it is so worth it in the end. I mean, I will still get so many more cards out of this. So I'm going to carefully flip that over and hopefully not smear that ink. And I'll go ahead and just put some of that on there. And then we'll just adhere that down to our card front and press it in place. Alright, and there we go. The very first card for the Valentine video series for 2015. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that some little boy or girl is going to really enjoy this card on Valentine's Day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.